Very warm welcome to all the guests who are watching us today, X Factor Festival powered by Zafal. And joining us today is a very important person, Mr. Vijay Singh Rathore. Vijay is the founder of Soonicorn Ventures, which is a startup investment tech platform. He is an investment banker and a chartered accountant by profession and an advisor to VCs, PEs, HNIs, and he works closely with founders to help them with financial modeling, investor pitch decks, CFO support, and fundraising. In his free time, Vijay likes to travel and indulge in gaming. And a very warm welcome to you, Vijay. And it's a pleasure to have you with us.
So first of all, thanks a lot everyone for joining, and Purnima, thanks for the introduction. Regarding Soonicorn Ventures, so this is a community or a tech platform which we started in last year. Before that, it was always investment banking for us to connect startups to the late stage investors, be it $1 million deal or a $10 million deal. We used to pick up startups, nourish them, provide them all the guidance in terms of their pitch decks, their financial models, they're getting them pitch ready, and then taking them even to the pitch calls, and also to let the investor pitching. Doing that, we realized that we are only limited towards the late stage deals where the Series B is happening or a Series A happening. And I was always helping founders in the early stage incubator accelerator. I'm part of mentorship to many accelerator incubator, helping them, but not in the fundraising side, because that's where the small ticket sizes comes in, and then our expertise is always into the late stage deal. So Soonicorn Ventures is a platform which we started last year with a vision that we will bring all the set of investors, be it an angel investor who is investing a ticket size of 2.5 lakh rupees, or be it a VC fund who is investing 3 to 4 crore minimum in a deal. And we brought everyone into a single platform. Today, we are a proud community of 1,600 investors. All these investors come from different geographies, like we have 24 countries. Everyone has a different ticket size to cater. Someone invests 2.5 lakhs. As I said, someone can invest even $1 million, $2 million in a deal. And today we have 18 startups in our portfolio. Every month we do a pitch call. Like today, 5 p.m. we have a pitch call in which 2 startups are coming. One is from gaming side and one is from solar side. So what we enable is that founders once get selected for a pitch call, they can come before they had too much of documentation side, which we take care of. And we help the founders to navigate through these pitches and facilitating investors to make the right decisions in putting the money. So that's what Soonicorn Ventures is. It's a platform where startups can apply. We check if those companies are fundable. If they require help in preparing their decks and everything in that sort, we help them, and then let them get fundraised from the set of investors.
So, well, that was really insightful. However, we would also like to know what you're looking forward to, as in what is the vision and what is the future looking like to you in Soonicorn Ventures?
Perfect. So see, I guess this January, we issued that this year we'll be sitting on 30 startups portfolio. We are already on 18, so this year we might be overachieving our target. But my next year target is that it should be a 100 startups portfolio community. And this year also we are going to Dubai, taking all our portfolio companies to pitch in Dubai. Last year also we went with 3 startups. This time our target is to take at least 10 startups with us, and even so idea is that all the early stage founders who are raising the round, and maybe they are stuck just because of a few iterations required in their business model or something. We're just trying to help all these early stage founders. And later on, there will be a large community of these startup portfolio companies who can have exchange of, let's say, users, exchange of resources, everything they can do in-house, internally at Soonicorn's community. And for the investors, it should be a one-stop shop and a platform where investors invest in a startup. They get all the updates from our team. We keep the complete hand-holding till 5 years horizon of their investment. And then it's completely free for them to join and sign up to the community. They only pay when they invest. And so that's one community we are building. Sooner there will be a fund launch also, where the investors can go, ticket sizes can even go to 1 lakh rupees or 1.5 lakh rupees, whatever they wish to invest in a startup. And all the portfolio companies, they not only get angel support, they will also get support from the angel networks out there on the platform. We even have accelerators, incubators. We have all the set of VC funds participated with us. So they can gradually raise rounds once they get onboarded to Soonicorn Ventures platform.
Yes. So, well, that looks like a very bright future to us, and it surely will be. Moving on to our second question. So, this is a very crucial question for all the audiences who are watching us, and they would definitely want to know this. So, what are the best practices? The list of best practices that probably are the most important when a startup is going to an investor for an investment. So, what should they keep in mind before actually going ahead and approaching them?
Perfect. So see, Purnima, I always say that the first doc set which you should have is a pitch deck, right? And always compare this to a going to a job interview. Once you go for a job interview, you have a well laid down HR like resume which an HR expects from you to when you enter the room. Even that is sent before on an email, well drafted email that I'm eligible for this position. Please consider my resume. So that resume is similar to that pitch deck of a founder, right? So if you are going to raise funds, you have to be very pertinent about two things. One is you have a well laid down pitch deck, and second is you should have your financial model ready. Financial model is sometimes people get very mislead in that it's a very detailed document. I have to number crunch and all. It's even a simple document which is showing your revenue, expenses, and expected cash flows and all those things for another 18 months or 5 years. 5 is a good practice. All these things you should have handy before you request anyone to meet, right?
Right, right.
Was it?
Financial model.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So financial model you can prepare for your next 2 years or 3 years or 5 years if you're visionary. And these documents, your pitch deck, your financial model, you should send to those investors who you think might be interested in this kind of sector, right? So what mistake founders does is they will go on LinkedIn, find out investors, and today data is everywhere. So they will just start sending requests to all these investors unwantedly and unknowingly, and they don't even know that these people even invest, right? So first approach for a founder is that make a hot list for yourself, highlight those people who are actively investing in that domain in which you are. Let's say you are into a food delivery business, find out those investors who have in past invested in food delivery business and make a list and start reaching out to them. And one thing I suggest always to founders that don't just raise for the sake of raising. Like if you feel that you can manage with your own money or your friend's money and then you can run the business to a scale and then you go out for raising, you should always go for it.
Right. I'm saying anything you want to add?
Okay. So regarding this documentation side is anyway, it should be clear for the founder that once you're going, you should have C set of documents. Second thing, what any investor will look into a company is who is the person running the show, right? So if you are a set of 2 founders or 3 founders, they will first ask your background. So you should be very thorough about what you have done, all the key points which will help your company to showcase your opportunity better, right? So because let's say if you are a person who has who just came out of college, but you have experience of organizing an event or organizing some shows in the college time, then you have an event experience. So if your startup is around event experience, you should highlight all those points in your introduction. But let's say you are in job and you are in an industry where, like we recently invested in a company where 3 Bitspilani founders came and they pitched to the platform and we handed over the check to them because they worked in a same company for 3 years and got a same insight and then they started their own venture out of that. So background of founders is pretty much required in early stage. I'm talking about early stage. Late stage, too many things matters, but in early stage, it's always a bet on the founders. These things we look at. Third thing is definitely the problem and the solution. So let's say if you are bringing a solution to us, which is not even a problem you're solving, it is just a made up thing for you because it's more of a convenience rather than a problem solution. So then investors take a backseat from that side. So whatever is a problem, like let's take an example of Uber or Ola, they found a problem that getting a taxi in a city is difficult. So then there is a solution. People are there who are trying to buy this kind of solution and they brought it and now it is a hit. Right? So these, you have to identify the problem and the solution should be there. So investors always find those, they read between the lines. When you start, like we receive hundreds of pitches every month and it is very difficult for us to pick up only 4 startups to pitch every month. in that month, right? So it's always we try to find out which startup is getting more traction, which startup is solving a genuine problem. That brings me to the next point, is the traction numbers. Like that if, let's say, today someone from the audience, let's say Aman Garg comes out and says ki I want to just launch a startup. I have a brilliant idea and I want to execute it. Just give me 10 lakh rupees. As an investor, I would just ask what you have done so far to ask about this money and even start the startup. Have you done any homework on this? So if he has something to back, like I have done an R&D, I've done 3 months, I have a project. In my college, I picked up a project and I have worked on it for so long, and now I'm ready to launch it in a company. I need money for that. Maybe that's a traction. If you are a late stage company, let's say 6 months in the business, and now you come back to me and say, I want to raise money for this company, I would ask how many users, how many revenue, how much traction you have built up in this. So those numbers are very critical. Sometimes founders think that only the big words and showcasing your company in lighter, a brighter picture will help them. Doesn't work out. People look for what you have done so far, because then your competition. That brings me to the next point. That what you are trying to do maybe have been done by someone, or he's anyway doing better than you, right? So the competition is anywhere in the market. If founder comes and says, I am the only one who is doing in the whole world, we just outrightly reject that idea, because then the founder is not self-aware that whatever you are thinking right now must have been thought by thousands of people already. So it's competition. Like if there is a company who is in the business for let's say 1 year and have good traction compared to the competitor they have in the market, then I guess that's a good hit for us. We pick up those companies. And given to example of the previous example I gave, that someone has done something with their school project. Recently, we invested in a company, 3 crore, where the company was the person, a single founder, had the project in his college. I won't disclose the name. He's anyway too popular. So taking that project, now building it at a company, 3 years he has been building it. And today he is raising 3 from us, 4 from one fellow. So it's a 12 crore round. So he's successfully raising that round. We evaluate all these points, which I just mentioned. Right? And last thing, which I would say, not even the last thing, but kind of the scalability. So whatever solution you have found out, is that scalable or not? Like, is there something which need to be like, let's say today I'm manufacturing something and I'm manufacturing that at the lowest cost possible out there in the market. But how much money will make me to be the largest producer of that thing or that commodity? So that brings the scalability and how much profitability you will come along. And that once again, a point is that path to profitability. If you are scalable, will you be profitable in any sense? So we have seen many models failed out just because they could never become profitable, right? And investors' money was just sunk. Zomato is one example. They got even listed without profitability. So if you are profitable, if your business is scalable, if your competition is way beyond, way far from you, and you are leading the market, I guess, and your team is solid, your documentations, your numbers are solid, you have traction to show to investors, I guess investors would be happy to look at. But then again, it comes to the summation that once as an investor, when I'm evaluating, I have multiple options to invest. I have multiple sectors, multiple industries, multiple type of companies, different scale of companies. So you have to be outshining all those things. You have to build a combined package that I have all these green ticks when you evaluate me, and there is no red flags. And one last thing, I guess, whenever we are investing, we also see the financial side of the companies, like how compliant are you? Like many people make mistake in, and because I give them points always that you are a techie guy, you don't know how to do compliances. And as a investor, or let's say as a advisor to VC funds, I have failed many deals rather than making successful deals. When I say this statement, that means that whenever we do due diligence of a startup, they typically fail on the due diligence part. That they have made mistakes in their filings, their compliances, they are not adhering to the laws of the land. They are not. They are making huge penalty payments to to companies. So all those red flags turns out to be showing content of and the intent of the founders. So all these things combined in a full package. So recently we also started a service to help these founders under Nucleus Startup Genie. So we launched a Startup Genie where you can just go and take all the compliances done by experts, and then you can apply for funding at Soonicorn platform, and then we will take you through. So it's a complete journey. You can't actually just open up a bank account and start receiving payments and then making payments, and then you think I will have funding in my account. Because if someone is giving you $1 million in your bank account, he's always looking at how you are going to spend that money. If I'm giving, let's say, Amangar $1 million, I will go back and see what he has done in the last 6 months with my money. So all these things a founder should be taking care once he's ready for funding from the investors.
Yes.
Any questions I can definitely answer from this side.
So, picking from your question itself, that investors read between the lines, what are the key factors an investor actually considers while evaluating a startup? So, I think you've already mentioned, but if we take like a more specific approach, then what are the key factors, like 5 or 6 pointers that investors actually look to?
Okay. So I guess the pointers which I already gave, I could just summarize all those things in one thing, right? And for me, it's always, as I said, founders before the idea. So if the team is solid, I will explain with an example, right? There was a company which started in 2021. It came to us in 2022 for funding. They had less traction. The industry they were catering was around event management, which was actually booming in the year of 2020, in the COVID period. When I say booming, the virtual industry, not the offline industry, because that was declining. But the virtual industry was booming because all the events were happening, just like how we connected today. These formats were not so common before
Right.
COVID started, right? So the company was organizing these events in a more of a realistic and virtual friendly manner. Right? So when this opportunity came to us, we were a very small community of investors. We thought, will it work or not? But when we led that, we've worked numerous hours with the founders to understand why they are better, and that summarized to that the evaluation came to us that only thing you can bet on this company is this strong founder team, because these three founders were having combined experience of 30 years. Everyone was in the industry of events for at least 10 years. So these 30 years of experience put together in a team, and then now they have bring up a model or product which will revolutionize the digitized events which will happen in the world. So that excited us that, okay, if many red flags are there, let's say the industry is new, the traction is not so great, but it all boiled down to one thing, that they at least they have a good team which can sail through, and even they have book orders and everything in place. So that's one which I'm reiterating, that the team size. I always already said about the traction side. If you're doing good, your business is good. If you're able to showcase your business in a good limelight, and we have seen founders who have built businesses without tech, and that's very rare, which happens because without tech you can't scale, without tech you can't make business. But we have seen some non-tech businesses just with a simple website have done 3x of returns from their competitors. And yesterday only, a few investors were discussing that this particular company has a 3x business from a competitor who is still on full on tech. Although there is the tech will take over the turnover side, but that business, what that guy non-techy built up, that shows too much of content. That if this guy can have a tech team with him, he can do wonders. Right? So business acumen is again the third point, that the person who is the team behind this, they should have a business acumen. Always people think that coming out of a job and doing business is always fancy, because that's how we project it. Entrepreneurship is the word, gaga word, what people go after. But if they have business acumen, investors pinpoint those areas uh, where you are spending your money. You have necessity of this marketing thing, but you're not doing that with your money. So we analyze the spends also in a company. So these things, like having a business acumen, again is a great thing. And then again, self-aware and also presentability, like awareness about the ecosystem where they want to sell to their clients and being present. So as I was mentioning, we are taking at least 10 startups to Dubai, right? Why Dubai? Because Dubai is a market where you can actually take up a whole lot of opportunities there. There is too much of money flowing in Dubai, and these kind of events are too popular anyway there. So if you are in a shell, you don't want to go out and talk to people about your company. If you're not a salesman, nothing is going to good happen to you, right? But let's say you are there out there, you're failing, you are trying, you're failing. People take that as a green flag for you. And again, just to elaborate that, every founder has to be a salesman. So we pick up those founders who are good in selling. If you can be selling your product, you can be selling your company shares, you can be selling any idea which you have in your mind. So if you are a good salesman, that can definitely help you. So as a like I can go on and on. It can be a 1 hour long session, but everything will turns out to be in the similar zone that whenever you are raising funds, you have to have these all points which I mentioned in order. Not only selling your product is the biggest thing. You have to keep your house in order, your compliances in order, your team should be good, your co-founders should be experienced, you should be experienced, and you should be knowing your competition. So combining all those things, as an investor, I would just put up my money only there where the opportunity is high. I can expect that my return are going to come back in few years time, if not in months. So anyway, private equity investments go for long term. So it's kind of a marriage between investor and a short term marriage between investor and a founder. So they have to think a longer term, and that's what investors look into there.
Well, that was very nicely summed up, and I am really hoping that all the guests who are watching us have got an insight on how actually they can go ahead and ask the investors for the right kind of investment. So, thank you so much, Vijay, for this insightful answer. Moving ahead, we have this question wherein we would like to ask you whether there is a difference between mission and vision. Is there a difference between mission and vision of a startup, and what is that difference? If you could please elaborate.
Okay. So see, first of all, when we started preparing pitch decks for the founders, we used to put these mission and vision slides also in the pitch decks. But in today's time, I see it is quite irrelevant because these are interchangeable things in your timelines. Like your mission can be a vision, and your vision can be a mission also. So I just simplify this in single liners where people have to just think how big they can build their business, right? And how impactful it will be. So you can put these two statements in any form in your deck or in your mind that today if I'm selling, let's say, 1 lakh items of my product, can I sell it 10 lakh after end of 1 year? And can it be a million after a 10 million when I reach 5 years time down the line, right? So that is how big you can be, right? And that's how impact. So if let's say I'm catering to a community, I'm selling a item to a, let's say, a Gujarati community. So how can I become the impact in the community of that Gujaratis, right? So the whole target, if your target audience is kids, so how impactful or what change you can bring in the whole community of kids where your product are getting used, just like Mama Earth is revolutionizing the mother and the mother relation with the kids and all those things. So it's always how big and how impactful that brings your mission and vision. That your mission is to achieve those things, and vision is how broadly you are thinking to reach to those uh, areas.
The mistakes that the startups actually make while presenting their pitch to investors. What are those mistakes? Is very important for us to know.
Okay. So mistakes sometimes what comes out as red flag. I'm talking about pitching, not about the diligence, because there the mistakes have already been done. It's to the point, on the point when you are making mistakes, right? So if you are a founder, and I've seen this multiple times being done by founders, they oversell themselves. If I'm telling them that how big you will be, they will tell me at least 20x number what they can actually be reaching to. So let's say they are able to achieve a 1 crore, they will say 20 crore. And as an investor or as a logical businessman, everyone will understand that you are buffing. You don't know how this business runs, how will you scale with this amount of money. So they will come up with this false expectations, or maybe their mind is reading this that how big that can be should be always big or humongous to showcase those numbers. So that is the big red flag that I can particularly recall an incident of 2018 where an investor, where a founder said, "Ki I will be a 500 crore company in 5 years' time." And that investor we brought in from US, he outrightly called me in the night and said, "Ki Vijay, I'm not investing in this guy because after 5 years you will see that he's not going to achieve these numbers." Be it 5 years already in past, that company shut down 2 years ago. So it is always that you sell yourself, but you don't oversell yourself. That's a complete red flag. Second thing is you're not prepared for your pitch. So what happened recently is one founder pitched, but once we asked him for the documentations and more details, he was not having all those details because he doesn't have enough in-house CFO who can share those details with the investors. So that's a red flag because investors don't like to be in a dark area where they're asking for information but they don't have an access to information. Then it's just like you are going to buy something on Amazon, but the seller doesn't list about what are the particulars about that item. So you want that item, but you can't order that item, right? So that is again a red flag. So overselling and again not disclosing all the information is the bad thing. Third thing is, as I said earlier, also being ignorant. You start claiming those one-liners who are not even true, that you are the first mover, you are the only one in the market, and you go out of track in claiming things like you are putting yourself before the brand. We have seen founders that they think as they are popular, they have a followership, and in a particular line they can launch a brand and now they can become big. So all these things investors don't like. They just want simple, plain businessmen who can understand business and do a scalable thing. And again, a red flag would be that the product which they have built is still not in the still in the beta stage. Like they still don't have a fully functional model or a product which they can showcase to the consumers. They don't even have sales. So it sounds funny that someone has an idea, can't he even pitch? But I can just tell you abruptly that ideas getting funding is kind of a passe. Not many deals on idea happens today because now Indian startup ecosystem is 10 year or more old, and people have exhausted all those money where they had an idea and people were flushing money. Today it happens like Purnima has an idea, she pitches to her friend and maybe she can invest, or she's getting uncle's money. That's friends and family round. So idea stage पे funding friends and family round पे is restricted है. You can't raise it from an institutional investor definitely. And so I would say go only when you are ready to pitch, run your business with meager money, and how much you can run the operations without the external money.
So quickly taking the next question, what are the future trends in the startup ecosystem in India, and which industry would be preferred by the investors for investment?
Okay, great. That's a great question. So see, I can tell from my perspective, I don't go by the macro reports which get published on multiple media channels. What we have seen, what we have done and dusted in last half a decade in the experiences, that something which is related towards the mobility is going to be the hit. Like we have seen electric vehicles taking stance and eliminating few of the share from the ICE vehicles. We call them ICE, internal combustion engine vehicles. So all those the EV is going to be a hit, but it will be a hit for another 5 years. That's my prediction. After that, it will be more of a commodity. It will be like how today automobile vehicle is. Then again, next big area where we are seeing is the drone industry. where again the logistic comes in play. We have recently invested into 3 companies. We are looking for more such companies who are building drone as a solutions, because drone mobility is coming. We can't stop that side. So that's one thing which we see. Which industry is not going to probably work out in another decade would be edtech. We have seen edtech fail miserably after how the COVID it was a hit. After COVID, it just came down flat. Like we have seen a few companies not able to raise money in that part. Fintech, we have seen a trend that fintech is going down, but I'm always bullish about fintech because fintech makes money. So if a founder has a vision, like just before this call, we closed a $10 million deal in a fintech company. So fintech is going to be there, but yeah, it is too crowded. So, but if any one of you is going to launch a fintech and you can double up the money in few years, you have my money. So these sectors, I guess I'm bullish. Health tech is a good sector, but again, the medicine deliveries and all those things is overdone. Something has to be around cure of those diseases which are never been cured. So if you have ideas to make those giant hospital lab testing machines into a smaller minicular devices, those would be great opportunities because that's what people will be buying in future. So I guess these industries I'm eyeing out. Uh, Industries you should be staying away, I guess, would be around these coins kind of industries. People go around these things. I don't find any value in it. And one last I would mention, which is really a boom, is as a gaming industry. I think India is very far behind in the gaming industry at this point of time. Today we have a pitch in which a company which is building Mumbai Gullies, they are coming to pitch. And it is the first, I guess, A level, A grade game which this company is building. As a gamer, I've always played PlayStation all my life. So, but we don't have India building such good games. So I see there is a lot of money potential also in the gaming industry. And that's always a person like me who would have an option to start a business in or studio in that time and get a formal education in this part, I would have happily done it. But yeah, I guess these sectors I'm bullish, and I've also dropped in sectors which are not going to work out, at least for us, in the next 5 years.
Thank you so much. Well, very, very vividly put. And I mean, we see the future coming this way itself. And yeah. So I would like to tell all our guests who have joined us, all the viewers who are watching us, that the public chat will be open for you to ask the questions that you want to ask Mr. Vijay. And Mr. Vijay, we will be taking up the last question from our end. And the last question is that how do investors actually determine the valuation of a startup and what factors are actually considered in this process?
Okay. So see, valuation of a company is pretty easy and a pretty difficult in both scenarios. But I will put some very easy terminologies for you. It's always like there is a very popular formula. If someone is in from the finance side, they will understand DCF is a discounted cash flow method. What we put. So there are multiple methods by which we can derive a valuation of a company, but it is always boiled down to one generic thing, that how the company is going to generate cash flows or how they are compared to their competitors aligned. So let's say I will give you 2 examples. One is a company which is generating 1 crore of cash flow today, but they can generate 10 crore of cash flows in the next year. So we will evaluate that. Okay, this is put let's have discount into these cash, and that's how we evaluate a discounted cash flow method. That's one method of doing valuation. Second method is where today this company is raising funds of let's say $2 million, but at same stage, at same number of users or same stage of revenue, a similar company has raised let's say a $4 million of that. So we identify okay, this two same companies. Let's put a parity in between. We call it the multiple method. So we will say that this guy has similar potential what this other guys have already done in last 1 year, right? So that's a multiple method what we do. Then third, which is everyone's favorite, is a gut feel. So it's always like you're going to an exhibition where the painter has created a art and he's selling you at 50,000 rupees, and then it's in your eyes that if you feel that 50,000 is worth for this painting, you're going to pay for it because there is no number backing, there is no costing he has shared with you that I spent these many money, 40,000 rupees of material to build this painting. He's just showing you an art, that this is the art you can put in a home. It will always excite your guests. So that way you buy that company. Similar, what happens in investor side. Investor sees a company, bargain with the founder, saying that I value you at 2 crore, you value yourself at 4 crore, let's come to between. But we call it the VC method. So in that method, it's more of a gut feel. There is a small calculator also being there in the market. You can just, guys can go and check a VC method calculator, and in which you just have to put a single number and expected return. Okay, I want to generate returns from these many years, this much percent at least. You will find out your valuation of the company. So I guess these three are the prominent methods which goes out in the market. There can be multiple other people using, but I guess everyone uses these only.
So we would like to take up the public questions now. All the viewers who had been with us throughout the session would like to
Sure.
would like you to answer a few things for them. So the first question we have is from Swapnil, and he says, "Do event management or hospitality startups, which are more service oriented than product, secure funding, and what investors look out in them?"
Okay, so a great question. I guess this also resonates with the one company which I was mentioning earlier, that event management company. See, I can definitely tell you, product is always better than a service. Reason being, product is scalable. Service is not scalable. Service is dependent upon how much manpower, how much customization you will do to provide that service, right? So event management, hospitality, if they are productizing it, but productizing it is also a very challengeful industry, because it's always, let's say Purnima is going to get her marriage done. She wants her marriage to be in a different format, and someone wants to a different format. But I can give you an example of a product under this circumstance also. Let's say Purnima is going to throw her marriage party in Udaipur. So can she find the places virtually before even landing to Udaipur? So she can go to a platform called as Palba. She can just go and view everything in AR and VR, and that's where she can just buy it. And all those properties will pay this company for digitizing their product and generate leads. So this is what the product over service is always going to be taking over.
Thank you so much. We hope Swapnil's question has been answered. And next question is from Devansh Kumar. He asks, "Are marketplace model startups still relevant?"
Not if you're selling all those which is available on Amazon, Flipkart. No one is bothered to install any third app. But let's say you are creating a marketplace which is very niche. Like yesterday, we were discussing an idea with a founder who is creating a marketplace for selling consumables to industries, which is not done yet. So it's kind of a B2B marketplace where you can just go and order a screw and all. Although IndiaMart does it, and there are multiple others. But yeah, marketplace anywhere can work out only if the target audience is new. If it is again that thing, you're selling mobile phones, no one is installing an app or going to a marketplace again, because Amazon, Flipkart does a great job. You don't have to go to marketplace for that matter. But yes, marketplaces can be of anything. Like we are thinking to plant a marketplace where anyone out of India can hire a chartered accountant or a company secretary from a marketplace we will be creating and bringing under Nucleus Startup Genie. So you want services, you can just go and pick from there. So I guess marketplace models are still hit, but you have to identify the niche in which you want to target.
Sachin Oberoi has this question. He says, "Hi Vijay. First of all, thanks for all the amazing insights you provided us with." And he wants to ask some alternate sources of funding that startups can actually explore if they are not able to secure funding from investors.
Perfect. So, boss, first source of funding is your father. Just go and ask some cash from him that, okay, my friends are not listening to me, my college professor is not listening to me. Can you just give me some money? So, that is the first source of funding for you. Then your friends, your family, all these things are definitely sources of funding. But this is we call it a friends and family round. Now, coming to your question is, if you fail out to raise funding from outside, there are other methods also, but they are there is one method I can tell you is revenue based financing. This is very new to India, but getting popular now. Where if your company is having, let's say, a turnover of 10 crores, X number, whatever number you have, you can sell that turnover to a company, your revenue basically, and you can get finance from on a discount. So it is revenue based financing. You can go for this kind of a funding round also. Apart from this, maybe you can explore licensing or franchising your own, because let's say you're building a product, but meanwhile you're not able to secure funding, you are trying to sell that service to some other users or players without diluting your own IP. So that you can definitely do. We have seen some companies doing that, and they did a wonderful job to secure some cash flow so that they can survive and build the product. Right. So I guess there are instruments and methods to raise funding. There are people do crowdfunding also. You can sell your product. But the best funding I would suggest you is by sales. If you are able to make sales, the faster you are going to get money from sales, you're not diluting your company. You are even getting a cash which is for your product. That's a validation, that's attraction. So I would suggest rather than running out only for the funds, you should focus on making those small sales from the product. I can give an example. A drone manufacturing company has to have a 50 lakh rupees of investment to deploy a drone. But if they go and rent a drone from a manufacturer, they can actually deploy 10 drones in that same cost. So you can actually find out ways where you can decrease your capital expenditure and you can deploy those things which you want to achieve. And then you have traction, you can raise money from investors.
So, Vriddhi asks us if is it difficult to pre-launch startups to secure funding?
Very difficult. I said it earlier also. It's kind of you are in a blind shot, in a dark, you're just making shots and you don't know how many targets are even there whom you're shooting at, right? So I won't suggest that you start looking out for funds at a pre-launch startup. I will tell you a joke, although it might not be relevant. But someone said that I want money. We said how much? He said that depends if you can give me 1 crore or 2 crore or 10 crore. So we said okay, if it's 5 crore, what will it be? Well, now I will think of the idea. So because now I have 5 crores. So don't be that guy or the person that you have to first launch yourself, maybe a small start, but you launch the startup, and then the scalability is different game. So pre-launch startups don't get more funding. Maybe they can be prizes and game events and small events organized by some colleges and all those. You can participate in them. You can just show up your idea. You can secure some small checks. These are even grants. Government give grants to kids once they are developing something. But don't expect a very formalized funding. This I can just put example. If you are a solid founder, you have done $1 billion of exit in your previous company. Now you are thinking of an idea just like a credit. You will get funding. But before that, it's always tough.
So, any exceptions in case of pre-launch startups that you would like to mention? I mean, if
I already did cred. So before cred was getting launched, Kunal could arrange funding for it. So, but that's the history of the person, right? That person who has done a good job in his previous venture and now bringing up a new venture, those kind of people can get funding. But other than this, it is very difficult.
do you think investors take into consideration the social cause behind a startup?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, impact, right? So how impactful your business is going to be is always in right side mind of the investor. They are always looking at how I can be, because it's also a gaga moment for an investor that my startup is bringing the change in the industry, right? So if you are able to revolutionize a whole community of kids or a whole community of something in which you're targeting, the social cause is done. So I can tell you if you are too much of towards social cause, let's say you are into waste management, you are into energy saving, you are into those things, there are dedicated social impact funds. So these funds, I can take names, Avishkar Fund is there is C40 Partners, all these are dedicatedly made for impact companies. So you can apply to these funds. So you are solving a social cause. Let's say you are uplifting the rural, you are helping women's. So all these social causes get aligned, but these are not grants. These are investments. So they are eventually looking into you making profits. So social cause is one side, but how are you making profits from that business? That's the second side. The business has to be there and the social cause. These two things are looked at very parallelly. But there is a separate investment funds who does it very often.
So Anushka Prakash had asked this question, and I hope that she has received her answer. Moving on, Chetna Bisht has another question, Mr. Vijay. Do investors look for some sort of targeted innovative product or a niche product that have a larger market?
Okay. Talking about niche products, definitely investors look into it because that's your USP. What is the new thing? Uh, what is the identified target in which you are targeting and with which what product? Right? That's what we do in many initial stage also. Let's say you are building something for the space industry. It's a very niche area. But then what that product is, and it's a very capital intensive business. Doing launches of those shuttles cost millions of dollars also, right? So are you addressing something from that space shuttle or the space program what you are trying to run, right? So these niche products definitely investors love to have because I would tell you if someone is doing generalized like master of all sorry master of all, I forgot the quote, but if you're doing everything but you're not master of none, right? So then you're not actually
Jack of all trades is a master of
jack
none.
of all trade, master of none. Absolutely. Thanks for helping me. So if you are doing everything into a single umbrella, let's say Paytm started as of this sort. They started as a mobile recharges and an app, but then eventually they started doing everything. But do
Yes.
you open Paytm for doing insurance? Do you
No.
open Paytm for gold coins or for any other thing? I don't do.
Hmm.
So you can't actually be jack of all trades,
All
right?
trades. Yes.
You have to become a niche capital. If they would have stick to only payments thing, they would have done great. Even they have done great. They even listed now. Although that's a sad story. I'm one third of what the IPO price I got and what today it is. But still, I guess niche product is always welcome because then they know that you're targeting a single thing. That's why the marketplace questions also comes in. If you're into marketplace of everything into one umbrella, then you are competing with those likes of Amazon and Flipkart.
Asks us when expanding, how does the startup decide whether they should go for an investment or they should use an alternative option such as a loan or something like
I would never suggest you to take a loan. Never ever. And if it is secured, don't go for it. In the early stage of a startup, getting a loan is like you are signing your own warrant to shut down the company in recent times. Why I'm saying this is because loan means you have to serve the interest and you have to return the money to the investor in a due time. As a startup, you are then building a business at that point of time. And taking an example of a company who is just starting up. So if you're just starting up and you don't have a visibility of how the cash will come in to repay the loans, you should not go for loan. You should eventually wait for the funding to come in or put in your own personal savings, whatever you can do from your own senses. I guess don't go for a loan at least. And I guess so alternative options I've already given you. Like alternative options, you can go asset light. You can partner with some other company who has already has solutions. I can give you an example of maybe a kind of company called a Zip. So they are not into now in manufacturing of scooters. They will just take the scooters and give it to the riders, right? So you have to find out asset light model. So where you require less capital to run the business. But yeah, I would suggest go for a loan at least. If it is a convertible loan, where the person is giving you loan but he will convert into equity, definitely you can go for it, but not in the early stage.
that. Okay. Aman has also a question. Aman Garg was mentioned in the session twice and thrice. So he has this question where he asks many investors like the idea, but don't agree on the valuation proposed by the startup founder. So what is the way out in these situations?
I can give you very what do you say, a trick or a golden wand in these situations. If an investor is not agreeing to a valuation which you are proposing, and let's say you are saying X, he's saying Y, don't spoil your relationship with the investor by sticking to one valuation. I saw this mistake and it was done by a great founder. He's still a friend, but his company could have gone this high. Today is this level, and this was I guess 2019 end or 20 starting, where we got $1 million of investment from an investor from abroad. but he got to stick to a valuation of 50 crores, and investor was asking 45 crores, just a 5 crore of gap, and then he denied it, and the deal followed off, right? So, but there is a way out in these situations. What you can go is just tell the investor, boss, what you are saying, what I am saying is pretty different. But let's put a third party into the insight. And third party doesn't have to be a CA who is doing a valuation just like me and coming to a valuation, because that you both are not agreeing to a point. Just put a convertible action clause. So let's say today you both are agreeing to a normal amount that I am investing $1 million in your company. My conversion will happen when the next round of investment happens, right? So let's say after 1 year, you are able to raise $2 million. I will convert my $1 million along with those $2 million who are coming from the third party investor. And valuation tab decide karenge. Because, and this is very fruitful for early stage founders, where you don't undersell yourself. You can always show performance, grow up to a level in 1 year, and then you can sell your company at a higher valuation. And the investor is safe because he's not signing any valuation which he's not agreeing to. He's seeing a third party coming and validating the traction numbers, valuations. This is what mostly angels do. They will invest in convertibles, and they also get a discount when they convert. So we phrase it like this, like 20% discount on next round. So if you're investing, let's say a 10 crore, your 10 crore is getting, but let's say today valuation you are assuming as 100 crore. Tomorrow that company is valued at 200 crore. So, but you will be converting 20% less of that valuation, right? So 160 crore, you will be converting at 160. I guess that is what convertible happens.
Kshitij Goyal asks, convertibles should be at a pre-money cap or at a discount?
Okay. So see, discount is always good so that you can actually give investors a comfort that whenever the next round is happening, you will have a leeway but there's an additional benefit. Cap and floor are different concepts. Like I appreciate you understand at least the cap side, right? So the cap is to safeguard the investor, because let's say tomorrow you will say my company is 180 crore, but you are assuming only it to be 100 crore. So you can put it at a 100 crore cap. That, oh boss, I will convert myself at 100 crores of valuation. So it can be a blend of both. You can even give a discount, and you can also put a cap. That okay, cap is let's say 100 crore, and after that also you get a 20% discount if you're falling below this. But let's say you are valued at 180 crore, as I said. After putting discount also you're not coming to cap, you can convert yourself at cap. So both these can be fine-tuned and used in the instrument when you're issuing the convertibles.
So, all our guests and the questions have been answered, and it was a really, really delightful and an insightful session. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Purnima. Thanks a lot, everyone, for those questions and attending this. Bye-bye. I will have to take.
Bye. Thank you so much.